whenever I'm in Kerry, I tend to spend at least a couple of hours walking every day. Unless it's like really bad weather, unless it's really rainy, then I might do a bit less, but I've also been known to do more. Like I'll go out a couple of times a day and spend a couple of hours walking. I'm just a big walker. I really love it. Like I love running and I love doing yoga and other kind of more strenuous workouts as well. But sometimes love is a strong word, and walking is great because I never have to talk myself into it. It's just easy. The lazy part of me loves that. That no matter how shit I'm feeling, I can pretty much always convince myself to put on a pair of runners or a pair of boots and just go for it. So that's what I'm doing right now. Hi guys. So we're pretty much doing the same walk that I brought you on the last time. I had intended on maybe turning back and facing the camera that way for this video, then I realised the sun was going to be shining at you and you wouldn't be able to see a damn thing. So yeah, bit of a repeat. But this time there's no snow in the mountain. I actually had hoped that there would still be, but it's been such a glorious day of sunshine that all the snow is gone. There was snow on it yesterday, and there's still snow on some of the higher mountains, but or the highest mountains in the area, but not on this one. But that's all right. It's a really beautiful day anyway. So anyone who's here particularly for the theology and the hopefully occasionally coherent videos about the nature of divinity might have noticed that I've been making videos in the past maybe 6 months or more that have sort of been grappling in a kind of uncomfortable way with my pantheism. Just give me a sec to get over this gate. The mud's dried up quite a lot since January, that's good. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of this too much, I don't think, in this video. But essentially, I had a realisation pretty much just today that I did some weird stuff with my theology. And basically today I realised that I've been actually being quite rigid, and I've kind of driven myself into a corner with regards to my views on divinity, and that I actually used to hold quite a different position. My understandings of what it was that I was even asking about, what it was that I was looking for in my quest to understanding my own understanding of divinity, that all of that has kind of shifted and changed, that the goalposts moved at some point, and I'm not sure why or how or when or anything. And I'm not going to get into that too much in this video. I'm definitely going to write a blog post about it at some point. I'm going to start blogging again at some point. I know it's been months and months and months. But yeah, essentially I realised that some of my old ideas were quite dualistic in nature, as opposed to monistic, which was not a realisation. I don't think I'd had that realisation before, because I had, again, quite rigid understandings of what dualism was, what monism was. And yeah, I don't think this is the place to start going into all of that, because I'm just going to tie myself up in knots, but I just wanted to make kind of a brief kind of video just about the problems of when we're working with a self-made religion, self-made spirituality, and figuring out what that is and what that means and what we're actually up to and what we're looking for. Alright, so I decided to sit down and get some front camera action going on because the lighting is just horrendous, and I'm just distracted and confused as to what I'm trying to say, and I figured that maybe looking at my face might be more interesting than the same mountain that you looked at in a previous video. So I'm kind of at risk of repeating myself in terms of talking about how even if you're a pantheist or a panentheist, even if you believe in the immanence of divinity, that you can still believe that some things are more sacred than others, and that you can still focus on some things to the detriment of others when you're sort of trying to express your reverence or explore divinity or celebrate your spirituality. But I feel like I'm about to go a lot further with that in terms of my own theology, in terms of my own practice. I feel like I'm about to move from a position of pure pantheism to something that looks a lot more like panentheism. So the difference between pantheism and panentheism, in case you're not clear, is that pantheism just takes all of existence, like all of cosmos that we can kind of access and experience as being divinity, whereas panentheism leaves something sort of outside of that. So panentheism is that plus a transcendent God of some kind that is outside of kind of manifest physical reality. And I don't know, I've jumped all around the place a lot in terms of where I stand with regards to whether I'm a pantheist or a panentheist. I feel like sometimes I'm an agnostic panentheist, like there's potential for something beyond, but that my belief in divinity is rooted in just experience, in just pure being. And I'm still fine with that. I still think it's a very valuable thing to place value and sacredness on cosmos, on our physical experience, and on the kind of patterns that we experience in our daily lives, in terms of following the wheel of the year and that kind of stuff. But I'm feeling a bit like that at some point along the line, I stopped paying attention to those aspects of existence and those questions about the nature of reality that kind of most tapped me into a sense of mystery, I suppose, and a feeling that there could be more to existence than we can see than we can kind of measure or see or experience in this life, in this universe, and so on. And yeah, I think I used to spend quite a lot of time trying to locate divinity or goddess. Like, even though I had this kind of abiding sense of divinity being all-encompassing and being everywhere and everything, I was still quite concerned about what it is about that makes it divine, that makes what it was about that kind of all-encompassing divinity that I was actually calling goddess. And I don't know if that distinction is going to make much sense, the distinction between feeling reverence or finding sacredness in everything, but yet wanting to pinpoint one element of existence that is God/goddess. But it's something that I'm now feeling like I'm going to have to explore and clarify for myself, because I've realised that there were certain kind of things that interested me about the process of creation and the nature of reality and how things have come about the way they have, that particularly interested me, and that evoked, thinking about those things, like, evoked a certain sense of awe and reverence in me, and that without thinking about those things in that way, I may never have come to a point of pantheism or agnostic panentheism. And specifically, I'm talking about this concept, which you might not actually be very familiar with on the channel, because it's something that I think I talked about a lot more when I was just blogging before I started making videos, so back in kind of 2012 and 2013, which was the distinction between the manifest and the unmanifest. Now, I got these terms from Glenys Livingston. She's an Australian author, pagan author, and her book was kind of instrumental in my finding my way back to paganism and figuring out, starting to figure out my own beliefs and my own practice. But I'm not sure that I'm going to be I may choose different words, or if I do use the term unmanifest or use those terms, I may use them in a way that's kind of distinct to how she uses them, because I suspect that the way that I picked them up and ran with them was slightly different to what she meant. But that idea of the mystery of non-existence, which is maybe sort of meaningless, but that mystery of what might lie outside of manifest reality, that mystery of where things come from and where kind of creative change, creative newness or novelty comes from, is something that has always really interested me. And I had somehow like lost touch with that along the line. I kind of almost lost interest in that as a thing, and I got a lot more sucked into this idea of reality as this sort of constantly recycling and regenerating thing, and lost that sense of it being something that includes novelty, creative novelty. And it was only today that I realised that I really lost something when I dropped that out of my taxonomy and dropped that sense out of my worldview. So, yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is I realised today that that process of creation, and specifically the creation of something new coming into being, as opposed to the recycling of things that were kind of already in existence, which is kind of like a subtle difference, and where you draw the line in terms of that, and whether or not you really think that there's a difference between those things. I mean, those are all kind of very complex philosophical questions that are very difficult to answer, but it's something that I'm going to be addressing myself, and like I said, that I will probably blog about as I go. But I just wanted to flag that up as kind of I think this is something that pantheists struggle with in a lot of different ways. This question of, and I made a video with this title before, like, if everything is sacred, then can anything be special? And seeking specialness in certain things, and seeking to acknowledge what it is, what those special things are that make us feel in the first place like existence is sacred. Because if you don't have that, if you don't have that kind of special sacredness to certain aspects of reality, it's very easy to kind of go, well, why is it divine in the first place then? Like, then your pantheism can very quickly become kind of meaningless, a very sort of A equals B kind of semantic game, where you just can easily slip back into into atheism, which is what has been happening to me a little bit. I've been slipping back into a sort of nihilistic atheism, and it only was just today that I really got a grasp on maybe why that's been happening and what it was that I lost somewhere along the line. Yeah, so I think that's about it. This is probably going to be a really short video. But I'm struggling, guys, with the light and the wind and the camera and but I hope that this was of some interest to you. I'll probably pick up on this again if I have more to add, and hope you're all doing well, and I'll talk to you again soon. God, hello! Oh my god, they're so cute! Hello! Hello! Can I come any closer, or am I going to scare you off? Oh, they're so cute. I don't think I've been so close to a lamb in a really long time, apart from like petting zoos. Hello. They're so trusting. Oh. Oh. Hello. Hello. I mean, there's no way they're going to let me touch them. No. Bye. And there's the snow I was talking about. That's pretty much the view from our house. It's lovely. Looking so gorgeous this evening.